Vanachari Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So, we are reading today from the Srimad-bhagavatam, 8th canto, chapter 2. We have text 9 through 13 altogether, without a purport. And then immediately after that, we have 14 through 19 altogether, with a short purport. So, well, we can try out chanting all four or five of the verses here, and then we'll see what happens after that. The text 9 to 13, so they're all together. Tasya dronyang bhagavato varunasya mahatmanaha ujanam mrityuman nama akridam surayoshidam Sarvato lankritam divyayar nitya pushpa paladrumai mandarai parijataischa patala shoka champakai chutai piyalai panasayar amra takar api Kramukarna rikelascha Karjurar Vijapurakai Madhukai Shalatalaischa Dharmalayar Asanarjuna Arishtodambara Plakshire Vatai Kingshuka Chandanai Pichumardai Kovitarai Saralai Suradarubi Drakshikshu Rambajambu Bhuvir Vadar Yaksha Bayam Malai. Okay. Okay, I'd like to try it. We don't have time to go through all of that 3 times. Tasya Dronyam Bhagavato Varunasya Mahatmanaha Ujanamritam Nama Akridam Sura Yoshitam Sarvato Lakshmitam Devyaya Nitya Pushpa Paladrimai Mandarai Parijataischa Patalam Chukta Champakai Jutai Piyami Panyasire Amrakatkair Api Karjuraya Vida Purakai Madhukai Shalatalascha Himalaya Anasanai Arishtodambara Plakshire Vatai Kingshuka Chandanai Vichimar Govinai Saralai Suradarubi Drakshikshu Ramba Jambuvir Adoryaksha Bayat Manamalai. You want to try that, Nandaloka? Okay, so we'll go the word for word. Tasha, of that mountain, Trikuta, Dronyam, in a valley, Bhagavataha, of the great personality, Varunasha, the demigod Varuna, Mahatmanaha, who is a great devotee of the Lord, Ujjanam, a garden, Ritumat, Nama, of the name, Akridam, a place of sporting pastimes, Sura, actually Sura Yoshitam, of the damsels of the demigods. Sarvata, everywhere. Alankritam, beautifully decorated. Divyai, pertaining to the demigods. Nitya, always. Pushpa, of flowers. Phala, and fruits. Drumai, by trees. Mandarai, Mandara. Parijatai, Parijata. Cha, also. Patala. Ashoka. Champaka. Kuta fruits. Biala fruits. Panasa fruits. Amrai, mangoes. Amratakai, sour fruits called amarakas. Amaraka. Api, also. Kramuka fruits. Narkelai, coconut trees. Cha, and Karjarai, date trees. Bijapurakai, pomegranates. Madukai, Maduka fruits. Shawatalai, palm fruits. Cha, and Tamalai, tamal trees. Asana trees. Arjuna trees. Arishta fruits. Udumbara, big Udumbara trees. Paksha trees. Yes. Vatai, banyan trees. King Shuka, red flowers with no scent. Chandanai, sandalwood trees. Pichu Marda flowers. Kovidara fruits. Sarala trees. Suradaru. I guess. Okay, I guess it was Suradaru. It's hard to say. Trees. Daksha, grapes. Ikshu, sugarcane. Ramba, bananas. Jambu fruits. Battery fruits. Aksha fruits. Abaya fruits. Amalaki, a sour fruit. Translation. In a valley of Trikuta mountain, there was a garden called Ritumat. This garden belonged to the great devotee Varuna and was a sporting place for the damsels of the demigods. Flowers and fruits grew there in all seasons, Along with them were Mandaras, Parijatas, Patalas, Ashokas, Champakas, Chutas, Pialas, Panasas, mangoes, amrakatas, kramukas, coconut trees, date trees, and pomegranates. There were madukas, palm trees, tamals, asanas, arjunas, arishtas, udumbaras rather, plakshas, banyan trees, kingshukas, and sandalwood trees. There were also pichu mardas, kovidaras, saralas, suradarus, grapes, sugarcane, bananas, jambu, padaris, akshas, abayas, and amalakis. It's a long translation. I think we're not going to repeat it. We just I think we just go on and read this translation to the next verse and the purport and take it from there. So translation to the following verse without chanting all the Sanskrit. This is the translation of verses 14 to 19. In that garden there was a very large lake filled with shining golden lotus flowers, and the flowers known as Kumuda, Kalara, Upala, and Shatapatra, which added excellent beauty to the mountain. There were also Bilva, Kapita, Jambira, and Balatikas trees. Intoxicated bumblebees drank honey and hummed with the chirping of the birds, whose songs were very melodious. The lake was crowded with swans, Karandavas, Chakravakas, cranes, and flocks of water chickens, Dachuhas, Koyashtis, and other murmuring birds. Because of the agitating movements of the fish and the tortoises, the water was decorated with pollen that had fallen from the lotus flowers. The lake was surrounded by kadamba flowers, Vaitasa flowers, nalas, nipas, funjulakas, kundas, kurubakas, ashokas, chirishas, kutajas, ingrudas, kubjakas, swarnayutis, nagars, Purnagas, Jati, Malikas, Shatapatras, Jalakas, and Madhavi Latas. The banks were also abundantly adorned with varieties of trees that yielded flowers and fruits in all seasons. Thus, the entire mountain stood gloriously decorated. Purport, Srila Prabhupada. Judging from the exhaustive description of the lakes and rivers on Srikuta mountain, on earth there is no comparison to their super excellence. On other planets, however, there are many such wonders. For instance, we understand that there are 2 million different types of trees, and not all of them are exhibited on Earth. Srimad-bhagavatam presents the total knowledge of the affairs of the universe. It not only describes this universe, but also takes into account the spiritual world beyond the universe. No one can challenge the Srimad-bhagavatam's descriptions of the material and spiritual worlds. The attempts to go from the earth to the moon have failed. But the people of the earth can understand what exists on other planets. There is no need of imagination. One may take actual knowledge from the Srimad-bhagavatam and be satisfied. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Gnana Shalakaya Chakshuru Vidyatam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Yeah, so it's the Vedas explain that there are 8,400,000 species of life. That's in the universe, not on planet Earth only. The whole universe, 8,400,000 species of life. 400,000 are in the human category, and 8 million are of different kinds of plants and animals. And so here Srila Prabhupada was explaining that there are, say, 2 million kinds of trees. Okay, so we can understand from the Srimad-bhagavatam that on all planets, every planet out there, and everything. First of all, everything that we see out there, modern science will say those are stars, and all those stars are like suns, like different suns, and each one of those suns may have other planets going around, just like our sun, and we're said to be going around it. But Srila Prabhupada says no, they're not all. There's only one sun, and although some of these are referred to as stars, they're basically the planets. The planets means that there's life, there's civilizations. So the whole universe is nothing in the universe is there by accident. Nothing's there just for it's just for no purpose. It's not there. There's nothing there for no purpose. It's not as modern imperfect scientists might claim. There are millions, billions, maybe trillions of planets and so on out there, but they don't understand that what's out there was each piece was created by God, and each piece, each planet, everything is in the material universe has a purpose. It has some purpose. It's not just accidental, and then it's up to the human being to try to figure out, okay, here's what we think we should be doing with this planet. We have to decide what the goal of life is, what the purpose of life is, what our purpose of life is. But that's the thought. Hardly anyone says, okay, I know that God wants me to do this. Or the scripture actually says that God wants me to act in this way. Everyone has to think, what. And I was asked when I think when I started high school, one of my teachers wasn't a philosophy teacher. I think he taught history or something. But he first day of the first class, he says, your first assignment is to write your own philosophy of life. That was a tough assignment for me, because I never really thought in terms of philosophy of life. I was like most people. Uh, we're here, we're living, we're we have we have our daily activities. Society runs a certain way, and we're just trying to flow with go with the flow, as they say. But as far as Jai Shishi Gauranitai, Shishi Radha Braja Vihari Jagannath Balaram Lady Subhadra Lady Shigade Prahlad Maharaj Ki Jai. So I did write something. It actually didn't make much sense because I really have no idea. I never thought about writing a philosophy of life, having a philosophy of life. And I think that was the case with a lot of people, not only in that classroom, but in general. What is your purpose in life? Oh, to enjoy. Well, I try to be nice to people. Uh, but as far as a real goal of life, what is your actual goal for your human form of life? People can't, generally don't really know. They spend their whole lifetime trying to find that meaning in their life. Uh, so, but by hearing from the Vedas, especially by hearing from Srila Prabhupada's Bhaktivedanta purports of the Srimad-bhagavatam or Bhagavad Gita, we can understand very clearly what is the goal and purpose of life. Not just our lives, but the whole human society. What are we here for? What are we supposed to be doing? What is actually the perfection of our um, of our life? What should we actually be striving for as just as human beings? And the answer is very easy. If we take it from the proper source, the goal of life is to revive our original Krishna consciousness. Goal of life is to develop pure love for Krishna, Krishna prema, and go back home, back to Godhead. And in the process of us becoming Krishna conscious, we have to see how we can give Krishna consciousness to others. And every religion actually teaches that in one way or another. If you go to the Christians or the Jews, and I'm sure the Muslims also feel that you have your religious principles, and you must teach your children, your dependents, to be whatever that religion is, right? It's built into the religion. So we say the same thing, but we don't. But we don't say that you only try to help your immediate family. The purpose is, what Chaitanya says, wherever you go, whoever you meet, tell them about Krishna. Wherever you go, whoever you meet, tell them about Lord Krishna. So the purpose of life is to become Krishna conscious, and it's the duty of those who have knowledge, who have some degree of Krishna consciousness, to give Krishna consciousness to others. That is the real purpose of the human form of life. So, and we are very fortunate to have gotten a human form of life, because there are 8,400,000 species of life. 400,000 are human beings on one level or another. And Srila Prabhupada did write that the most of the human beings in those 400,000 species are even less civilized than us now. So we see where society is there right now, but the most are less, but are still considered human beings. It means the Aborigines and I don't know, there are many species, and this is all over the whole universe. And every planet in this universe um, has life. It's not that there's some place that's just like a desert. Like they talk about the moon. Their idea that what they see is the moon, and it's just there. It's gray, and there's a lot of dust, and it's been pounded for millions of years, billions of years by meteorites and all these things. And maybe there's a little bit of possibly there's some water there. Maybe there's some microbial something that has developed from that. But it's all speculation because the moon is a heavenly planet. The bodies of the people on that planet are I don't know exactly. They're probably ethereal. Um, I can't say without authoritatively, but the bodies of the people on that planet, if we may or may not see them if we were actually went there, and there's a whole civilization there. So what you're seeing is if you look through a powerful telescope at the moon, you're not going to see any civilization there. But we understand from the Vedas that there is civilization, and it's actually very heavenly. It's very nice. So there's something on another dimension, apparently, that we cannot see it, but you can go there, and you can have a long duration of life and enjoy all kinds of material enjoyment, uh, uh, and so on. Same thing with the sun. Who can live on the sun? You would think. Who can live on the sun? The sun is millions of degrees in temperature. That's the estimate. So you think who can live? But if you're thinking about us in a body like this, living on the sun, of course, nobody can live in that condition. But the soul. Bhagavad Gita says the soul cannot be burnt by fire, withered by the wind, or hurt, or damaged, or killed in any way. The soul is, it's transcendental to this material. So the soul can live, and if you have a suitable body, then you can live even on the sun. It means your body is primarily fire, and fire can have form. We may not see the form, but the fire can have form, and the subtle body also is not burnt by anything, and the soul for sure is not burnt. So the inhabitants of the sun are primarily fiery bodies, maybe a little bit of the other elements in there, and that is also a heavenly planet. So it's it's a very high planet. And here we're reading here about this is also a heavenly planet with all these wonderful, mountains and land, which is just jewels are just everywhere. It's just like part of the land. And anyone could pick these things up and have make their jewelry. They can do whatever they want to do there. Because it's freely available because of the highest activities that someone must have done to go there. If on this planet, if we went diamonds or emeralds or something like that, it's a big endeavor to mine them, and so much problem comes with that, and so much violence comes with that, trying to get the wealth. But on these higher planets, it's just laying on the ground. It's available for anyone. You just take it. You can pick up any stone along a river here. There is actually jewels, valuable gems. So this is a higher planet, and people are there because of their past pious activities. But the other side of it is, it's still a material place. So, Lord Krishna explains that too, from the highest planet in the material world, Lord Brahma's planet, down to the lowest planet, all are places of misery where repeated birth and death take place. So even though you can go to a heavenly planet, you can have all this superior, wonderful place to live, but you still have to be born. And to go there, you have to take birth there. And birth is always a problem. And eventually you're going to have to die. And I'm sure there'll be some degree of disease or some old age, a little something there, even in the heavenly planets. So you have to go through all that. You take birth, you have to die, and experience everything else in between. So, and then once you die, that soul goes to wherever it's supposed to go because of its karma. Probably back down to the earth or a middle planet to again try to become Krishna conscious, hopefully. So even if someone who has worshipped the demigods or done some particular activity to qualify them to go up to the higher planets, they cannot stay there. No one can stay there. So therefore, people who worship the demigods are basically condemned by the Lord, because they're going for something which is temporary, which they can't. They cannot. You cannot take it with you. You can get higher material enjoyment, but ultimately you cannot keep that, because you're put into it for something. It's like you make a lot of money, and then you get the right to live in a very what's the word, posh apartment, penthouse apartment up in the 100th floor of some big building in New York City, and you're sitting sort of like on the top of the world, they say, and you're feeling really good there, and you've got so many good things, but you're only there temporarily, and in the due course of time, either you die or something happens and you lose all your money and you have to leave there. So when your money runs out, I find people who play lottery, and once in a while somebody actually wins it, and some people won lottery and gotten hundreds of millions of dollars out of that winning. And sometimes, usually, they go crazy over it, not knowing what to do, how to spend it, what is the purpose of life, and they go just crazy spending everything, and next thing you know, they're completely in debt. Not in every case. Some people are reasonable, but many times it happens like that. So the same thing when going to the heavenly planets. You go there, and you make a lot of endeavor, sacrifices, and so on in one lifetime, and next lifetime you can go there and enjoy, but in due course of time you still have to leave that. So Srila Prabhupada gave us the knowledge how to, he gave us the knowledge to not bother doing like that. Srila Prabhupada could have very easily given us the books on the purports and everything about worshiping this demigod or worshiping that demigod, and how to go to the heavenly planets and how you could enjoy for millions and billions of lifetimes, millions and billions of years rather, or trillions of years with your Lord Brahma. You can get that. You could have gotten it easily. And Srila Prabhupada said it's not that hard. But why? Because the purpose of life is to become Krishna conscious. And if we go to the heavenly planets, it's very distracting as far as Krishna consciousness goes. So he gave us the essence, and not just the Vedas in general, but the very, very special and limited amounts of the Vedas, which are all about devotional service. Srimad-bhagavatam is very special.
Srila Prabhupada writes in the beginning that if one studies the Srimad-bhagavatam from the beginning to the end, verse by verse, purport by purport, he does like that, reading very carefully and studying and trying to follow. He says that by the time you finish the 9th canto, you'll be a God-realized soul. So that's significant. Of course, that means you're actually studying it. We don't read Srimad-bhagavatam like we would read, I don't know the names of the books out there now, but just like a novel or just a pleasure reading, a storybook. We read Srimad-bhagavatam, and this is Krishna. This is and it is Krishna. Idam Bhagavatam Nama Purana, Idam Bhagavatam Nama Purana Brahma Samhitam, Uttama Shloka Charitam, so on. Srimad Bhagavatam itself describes that the Srimad Bhagavatam is an incarnation of Krishna. If you look in the first canto, chapter 3, that chapter is on incarnations of the Lord. And if you look there, you'll see many different prominent incarnations are mentioned. And after all those incarnations of the Lord are mentioned, then the Srimad Bhagavatam is also mentioned with that verse. Idam Bhagavatam Nama Purana Brahma. This Srimad Bhagavatam is actually an incarnation of the Lord, which means it's got all the potencies and powers of the Lord, just like His holy name has all the potency of the Lord. So the Srimad Bhagavatam also has all the potency of the Lord. And this was especially Srila Prabhupada's life work. Of course, he traveled, he preached, he managed a lot of things in ISKCON, because we were not competent enough to do it. But his real goal, what he did every morning from 1 o'clock in the morning till about 7 o'clock in the morning, he sat down by himself and just wrote these books, the translations and the purports to the Srimad Bhagavatam. And he wrote other books too, of course. But he spent one of his favorite or most important books to give us was the Srimad Bhagavatam. Because by following that, then we can become fully self-realized. The Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna teaches so many different philosophies, so many different viewpoints. Not that he's teaching us, but he mentions them. He mentions them, and then he defeats it. He mentions the demigod worship. He even says that if someone really, really enthusiastic to worship the demigods, even though he said that we shouldn't, but if one is, then he says, and then if they are, then I make their faith strong. Because all the demigod worship is temporary, and there's no real ultimate benefit. But in demigod worship, it's also mentioned the Lord Vishnu. So by doing that, you get a little bit of some spiritual pious activity too, and that pious activity gradually helps one to come to the point where they can become Krishna conscious, or come to the point where they can say, "Okay, I'm ready to surrender to a spiritual master who will guide me. I can engage in devotional service." It all starts by following these points that are offered in the Vedas. So all these sacrifices that are performed in the Vedas are not, the real sacrifice is the Sankirtan sacrifice, preaching, chanting the holy names, teaching others about Krishna consciousness. That's a really important sacrifice. But the others for the people in general, especially in previous ages, all these other forms of sacrifice, where you can get certain material things, that's what people did. And by doing those other material things, according to the Vedic knowledge, then they gradually became little by little closer to Krishna. And until they pointed and say, they realized that, hey, I've been wasting my time, I've been wasting many lifetimes in this way. Let me take up Krishna consciousness now very seriously. And so this is the way the Varnashram system works. In modern material society, it doesn't work that way. You become degraded, you are degraded, and you become more degraded, and more degraded, and more degraded. There's nothing in the material society that really uplifts you, right? Nothing really uplifts you in the material society. So but by practicing Krishna consciousness, then we can become uplifted. Our consciousness can go up, and we can actually elevate ourselves to a higher platform, so that we can engage ultimately in the Lord's devotional service. And Srila Prabhupada mentions here in this purport, he actually mentions this same point a lot. No one can challenge the Srimad-bhagavatam's descriptions of the material and spiritual worlds. The attempts to go from the earth to the moon have failed. But the people of earth can understand what exists on other planets. So he doesn't go into a big, fighting about, oh, man didn't go to the moon, like that. He's not, at least not here. He did make statements like that, and he asked one time devotees to write an article in Back to Godhead on that subject. but he doesn't just dwell on that, because people in general are not going to believe it. They're not going to accept it. But he says, but the people on earth can understand what exists on other planets. There's no need of imagination. One can take actual knowledge from the Srimad-bhagavatam and be satisfied. So if we have faith, it goes back to that faith again, which is, and how much faith we have depends on how spiritually advanced we are. If we have firm faith in the scriptures, and the scriptures, including Srimad-bhagavatam, have a lot of knowledge. Especially you look in the 5th canto of Srimad-bhagavatam, there's whole descriptions of the structure of the universe, and of different planets in the universe, what goes on there, and what the people are like, and so on, what the civilizations are like. Someone, a skeptic, might just say, somebody just made all this up. You can't prove that. Well, actually, we can't really prove it because you can't, because they would say, okay, you want to prove it? Show it to me. You want to prove that God exists? Tell him to come here and stand before me right now. Then I'll believe. He comes before me, then I'll. But who are we to demand that God's going to come in front of us and give us audience? Come for our darshan, right? We have no right to demand that God do that, but we can, and so therefore it takes a little bit of faith to start. It takes a little bit of faith to follow the process, and then gradually we can realize the presence of God. If you're worshiping the deities, your pujari type service, and you're concentrating what you're doing, especially if you're doing it regularly, then it's clear. There's a relationship. The deities are deities. They're not statues. There's actually a personal relationship. You even ask questions, and Krishna will, if you're sincere, he'll give you the answer in the heart. Not just you don't have to be a pujari to do that, but it's common with pujaris because of the intimate type of service. But you can we develop an actual, real personal relationship with the Lord if we are worshiping in the right consciousness. So. Okay, anyway, these are a few points. Maybe I'll stop here. It's 8:42 already. Are there have any questions, comments?
There's always been a phase of the species and then there's so it's just so much more out there than you can know. So that kind of in my mind was my universe, right?
Yeah, within one universe, 8,400,000 species.
Yeah.
Maybe in another universe, maybe there's something different.
Yeah, there's other bigger ones, and so that was really interesting. Also, when you mentioned in the read the Srimad-bhagavatam Class, there's nothing like really easy to tell me, it's Krishna. You know, there's nothing like a challenge there. I never met anyone like that, but I never seen anything remotely close to anything like Srimad-bhagavatam, let alone somebody attempting to even Krishna in the very form. I thought that was also fascinating. And thinking of the heavenly planets and just how beautiful they are, and then comparing it to what we're doing here, reminding me, so I can only imagine the beauty and all of the jobs and just the description of it. The consciousness isn't there to take care of the consciousness is already here, and what they're doing with the fortune and that one and gold and money and all that. There's a reason why you have to have certain consciousness to be able to not do the corrupt things that they're doing here. The resources that they're doing. So just some reflection of that, having in class, there's more than that. There's movement in the past, there's just
Good.
so expansive.
Yes.
I think one more thing, the senses, our senses are so limited now, even just comparing to the block, different senses that we are the spectrum of things, that there's no, and our senses are imperfect, so there's no way that if it was like that, where it is, and it's a different dimension, and people are just, focusing on what senses that they have, that they're not thinking it's a multi-dimensional, consciousness and everything. So that's kind of fascinates me to know that they exist, but with a limited senses, we're not able to know or even go there. The people will still try to a scientific thing of what they think is happening.
Yeah. Just like if we're sitting here and we see an ant going across the floor.
Yeah.
So the ant has that's his whole universe is right there.
Yeah.
But we see so much more here. The ant's has no knowledge of. He can't perceive how big this room is, or anything else. Or if an ant is crawling on the table, you flip him off the table, brush him off the table. He has no idea what's happening there. But we're kind of the same way. We got human bodies that we're being tossed around here and there by the material energy, taking this kind of birth and that kind of birth, and this kind of intelligence. And that sometimes we have human form of life, we mess up in the human form of life, maybe we become a dog or an ant or a cockroach or a snake or something like that. And we're being tossed here and there by the material energy based on our particular desires. And in the higher planetary systems, they can actually travel from planet to planet. It's just normal for them there. Go in their heavenly planet airplanes that are not like our very loud jets and rockets that we have now. They fly with mantras and so on like that. So they can go everywhere, but they also are bewildered. The inhabitants of the heavenly planets are also they're basically bewildered because they're still involved in the concept of life. They're temporarily being able to enjoy a lot, but they're forgetting, or they're not generally not 100% pure devotees. The inhabitants of the heavenly planets are called these words, sakama, devotees. They're devotees, but they still have a lot of material desires. But somehow or other they've done some good pious activities, so they've been put on a higher platform. And the whole idea, the real idea of them going to a higher platform and say, okay, I'm there, I can enjoy, but they'll realize that, hey, I can't really enjoy here either. There's got to be something better. And after millions of years, of thousands of years or millions of years, depending on what planet you're on, to try to enjoy, you still have to fall back down, and hopefully you'll have some sense, some realization that, hey, I don't need to go through all that again. I'm back. I'm here, and I've got to find some. My happiness has to be based on something which is not material. The jnanis figure that they've already come to that point. You can't. There's no use doing anything in the material world. No use trying to enjoy anything in the material world. They just try to transcend it. But because they don't have knowledge of the spiritual world, and they're just thinking, not this, not this, not this, not this, they come to an impersonal conclusion. and because they come to the impersonal conclusion, maybe they merge in the Brahma Jyoti if they succeeded at that. But they also they don't achieve the highest goal. So, and then every once in a while, there's a jnani who actually does that, comes to the point where he understands. So that's why the Bhagavad Gita says, get the Sanskrit right off, but out of many thousands among men, hardly one endeavors for perfection. And of those who endeavor for perfection, hardly one knows me in truth. So out of thousands of men, karmis, vikarmis, like that, hardly one endeavors for perfection. That would be the jnani. At least they're trying to get off the material platform and go to something transcendental. And out of many jnanis, hardly one actually comes to the full realization and understands the Lord in truth, and engages in His devotional service. And how we, who are now, I was never a jnani, at least not in this lifetime. So all we can say is that Srila Prabhupada, by his blessings, and as he said this himself, because he's asked, did we take up Krishna consciousness because of our past activities, our past pious activities? He says basically, I made your fortune, or I made you fortunate. So by Srila Prabhupada's blessings, we became fortunate, and we need to, by our blessings, by following the Guru and the Acharyas, we need to see how we can also give Krishna consciousness to others and make them fortunate, like that. And this is also an extension of Srila Prabhupada's mercy, but that's our purpose in life, in this kind at least. That we practice Krishna consciousness, we become serious about it, we become Krishna conscious, and we give Krishna consciousness to others. And in that way, this movement will spread. And we'll become Krishna conscious because we're preaching. No, of all the devotees, there's no higher devotee than he who is preaching Krishna consciousness. And preaching comes in different forms. Sometimes it's preaching like we're doing here. Sometimes it's the Harinam. Sometimes it's just showing a very good Krishna conscious example, preaching by example in society, and in various ways. But the goal is how to one way or another give the opportunity for Krishna consciousness to others. That's our. You say we've inherited that responsibility from Srila Prabhupada as our founder, Acharya. I think I have to stop here. So we'll end here today, and tomorrow we are reading Chaitanya Charitamrita. Yes. Okay. And then on Monday, then we'll be on verse 20. And maybe read a few verses because there's no reports again. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srimad-bhagavatam ki jai. Someone said, could you repeat the questions? Or can I hear? Huh? You were, but not very loud. I mean, I thought. Okay. Who asked the question? Could you please repeat the questions? Can you? I'm not sure which question. It should be picked up by the microphone, but it's not. Next time. Okay. Next time would be good. Okay. Thank you. So we're in here. Hare Krishna.